Hey guys! So I'm back with another layout process video using my October hip kits. This particular layout was drawn about using a specific photo in mind and also a challenge. My challenge was to use no white, as in no white background, no white, just no white, which for me is a challenge because I like using white backgrounds on my layouts. And the other thing I had to keep in mind was that the theme needed to be like family oriented. So I had this photo of me, my brother, and my mom. It's a selfie that we took at Animal Kingdom this past September when we were there. It's one of my favorite photos from that trip, so I decided to use it and just it alone. I also really liked this wood pattern paper from the kit. And I thought that it matched really well with the photo. So I had already taken out pieces that I knew that I wanted to work with. I wanted to work with those gold doilies that I have from my stash, and everything else there is from the We Are Memory Keepers Honey I'm Home ephemera pack from the Embellishment add-on. What you see now is basically the It's my layout, really. I wanted the photo to be in the center, and then I wanted those frames to be sort of in the back. Just like, I want everything to like poke out from behind my photo. So I roughly just kind of put together everything, and now I'm just looking for a paper to back that photo with. I actually pick out a few. That other kind of greenish gray wood grain paper from Take Me Away, and then the a couple of cardstocks. I ultimately settle on the dark kind of navy black cardstock. It's not a cardstock color that I would actually use ever, but I loved how the photo just kind of popped with just a very thin kind of dark border around it. So I laid out my layout that I wanted, and I'm playing around with pieces. There are certain pieces like that, the wild thickers, that gold wild thicker. I wanted to use it, and the two wood veneers, the one that says The Crew and the other one says Family Fun, those two I also wanted to use really badly. And so I kind of built the entire layout around my photo being in the center and with those elements in mind. The base that you see right now with the doilies and the frames and the florals and that kind of reef thing in the background is my base. I don't change it. I think the only thing that I possibly change is that green little reefy thing. I end up cutting it a little later on. I end up cutting it in half and putting the other half on the opposite page. I really like symmetry. I'm really about symmetry, and that's why I think this layout is super symmetrical at the moment. Everything kind of balances out on both sides. Here I got rid of that The Crew wood veneer, and I put the wild thickers, and I really wanted to use that wood veneer. But it unfortunately does not make the cut because I really wanted to use those thickers for my title, because we were in Animal Kingdom, and in the background you see the Tree of Life, that really big tree that's in the center of the park. And if you've ever been to Animal Kingdom in Disney World, it's basically a giant zoo with rides and shows and everything. So it's like being in the wild. So right now I'm just trimming off that branding strip because I'm going to start putting everything down on the page. And I do apologize that most of this video, the layout is kind of not centered. I honestly thought it was centered when I set up my camera, but apparently it was not. And I do apologize, but I think most of since I worked in the center of the page, that's where kind of my cluster, my layout, really, I call it clusters when you have just bits in the same spot. That's where it's concentrated, is basically in the center. And I just kind of, once I put that base down, which is what I'm doing now, I add embellishments, like little things sprouting from that center. I mean, I do build upon the center, but I don't know, I kind of just wanted to like make it sprout out. So, and I think it's because of maybe that paper, the way it is, even though on the right side, it kind of, the wood grain kind of changes a pattern, but like in that center part, it looks like everything is coming from the middle. I don't know, it's weird, but I kind of wanted everything to just come from the middle like that. So right now I'm just putting down my base that I have, and I'll have throughout the layout. And again, I'm still wanting to use that crude wood veneer. I don't know, I just really, really wanted to use it. And I think here I realized that it won't make the cut. I'm not sure when I eventually get rid of it. But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just putting down the base, and here's where I cut that reef, because most of it was like tucked in like behind, and I'm just like, all I really need is the part that I want to like have come out. So maybe if I cut it and I can like incorporate that on the opposite side of the page. And I eventually figure out how to put it on literally the direct opposite. So it's kind of like a diagonal, it takes your eye diagonally across the page, just like the gold doilies do. It's like, oh, there's gold doilies on the bottom left and then a gold doily on the top right, and so your eye kind of moves from the bottom left to the top right. And I wanted to repeat that with that that green wreath, and I sort of kind of do it with the florals as well, from that ephemera pack. I'm only using, I think, bits from the We Are Memory Keepers Honey I'm Home line, because even the wood veneer is it's the wood veneer from that line as well, with the ephemera bits. So I think I took out that pink paisley, the Take Me Away thickers, and I used one of those leaves, like those little leaf ones, and I kind of tucked it behind the floral cluster on the left hand side. So it kind of pushes that part of the layout up a bit and gives it a bit of dimension. It's just I wanted to repeat that gold thicker on that side. Here's where I put down the wild and I kind of get rid of that crew. You saw that I was trying to like figure out where I can put it, but it just didn't work within the layout. So right now I pulled out the puffy stickers, also from the Honey I'm Home line. I think that's what it says, the Honey I'm Home, the We Are Memory Keepers. And I took out the two puffy stickers I took out were the button shaped ones, and I kind of put them on that bottom left there. I do move them slightly, but that's basically where they stay. So yeah, I glued everything down. So this is it. This is my layout forming. I took that little like scallop piece, and I believe that was from the Dear Lizzie Saturday ephemera. Those tickets are also from the Dear Lizzie Saturday ephemera. I just wanted to repeat, like, okay, with the scalloped, I wanted to repeat the dark color of that border. So that's why I took that out. And I took out a bunch of other pieces because I wanted to build upon that background. Especially on the top left, I felt like it was getting a little empty, especially after I put that the two tickets there on the top right. But yeah, so I took out that scallop, and if you saw, I may have stopped playing with it right now because I'm too preoccupied with that top left portion of the layout. But eventually that scallop is going to go right under the wild thicker, just to kind of repeat that dark color that we have on the border of the photo. I end up trimming down a little bit a little bit of the scalloped, so it can fit nicely under the wild thicker. And then once I put that down, I go ahead and take that spare piece that I cut and I kind of tuck it on the top next to that kind of tealish frame, just so, again, that I repeat that dark black color throughout the layout. So right now I'm trying to figure out what to put on that top left corner there. I feel like it's kind of, like the little kind of cluster in the middle is kind of a bit unbalanced because there's nothing there. It's like I try to put something there. I punched out circle pieces from a piece of paper just to put it there, and just that one didn't work. And then I try to repeat the black. I do end up leaving a black circle behind the floral on the left because I kind of liked how that piece, the piece on the top, and the scallop on the bottom made sort of like a triangle of that color, and so it kind of balanced out. Like when you look at it, it kind of balances out. So I left that tuck there, just peeking out a little bit. Didn't need too much, just to peek out. But that top there, I stopped playing with it for a bit. Right now I'm fussing with those puffy button stickers, but I still need something there, and it kind of drove me crazy a bit. So right here I took that piece of paper that I have there, the scrap piece of paper that I was going to back the photo originally with, and I used a butterfly punch, and I'm just punching out some butterflies out of paper. And it was initially just to fill up that space on the top left, but I eventually take the bigger ones out and just use the smaller ones, going diagonally from the bottom left to the top right, because that's where I saw most of the movement in my layout. Like when you look at it, your eye kind of goes that way, and so I was just like, oh, I'll just put the butterflies going that way so it looks like they're flying diagonally up, so it just creates more of a movement. So right now I'm going back in with different pieces from the ephemera packs on that top left. I moved the tickets because I thought I could move the tickets there, but the green was too much. I ended up moving the tickets back on the right-hand side. But I think I took out a bunch of things, and one thing that was that I end up, I think, using is that loving the life or whatever, that little scallop circle, only for the kind of reddish coral scallop edge. I didn't really care for the what it said on it. It's just that scallop edge because it matched the frame, that same frame on the bottom right, and so I kind of wanted to repeat that. I also really liked the a happy wife is a happy life, I think that's what it says on that piece of ephemera, but I only wanted the happy part, and so right now I have the happy part there, and it eventually does stay, but I'm cutting up some of that the cut aparts to see if any of those cards would fit, and none of them do. I still end up going back to that happy wife, happy life ephemera piece, and I just tuck it back there just so that the happy peeks out on the top, because that is what I thought looked right. But yeah, so here I am going with the scallop circle and the happy piece of ephemera, and I kind of just layer them on top, so all you see is just the happy and then the color of the scallop. Now I'm just kind of fussing around with that puffy sticker. It's a floral, and I know I want it to peek in the back there just a little bit, and once I get the placement down, I think I commit to it, and I eventually glue it down because that's what ends up being on the layout. Right now I'm just putting down all of those butterflies. I kind of fuss around with the placement of them on that bottom left-hand corner with the buttons, because I want it to kind of like be kind of like like a flourish going up, and I felt like they were being clustered too closely together for my liking. So I mess around with them for a bit, and then I kind of abandon them a little bit and go to the top and start putting down those butterflies. because those I know more or less the position that I want that to be in. And then right now I'm putting down those tickets from the Dear Lizzie Saturday. I want them to peek out there in the little corner just to put more of that green color in. So I go back to play with that little happy die cut. I eventually take that reddish scalloped die cut that I had behind the happy. I take it off and just leave the happy sticking out as it is with that floral puffy sticker. And I believe I leave it like that. And so I stop playing with that corner. Right now I took out my date stamp and I was going to stamp the date, but then I was trying to figure out how I was going to place my journaling. I started handwriting it onto the layout and then I erased it. I don't think I have footage of that, but that's what I ended up doing. I started writing it in pencil on the kind of like the bottom right side, because that's why I wanted to put my journaling, but I didn't like my handwriting on it. So what I ended up doing was I ended up typing it on my computer and then printing it out on white, just regular white paper. And then here you see I'm starting to cut it out. And what I do is I just cut out all the sentences. Again, I do apologize for cropping that bottom part off, but what I do is I just cut all the sentences, so all the sentences are in strips, and then I arrange them right there on that bottom right-hand side under the wild. I just arrange it how it's supposed to be, and then I just kind of adhered them down, and because there's no white, I'm not supposed to use any white, what I do is I take some watercolors, and you eventually see my watercolors, and I just paint over those strips of paper with kind of like a tannish beige color, and just to make those strips just to have a little color in them. When I had to like peel some of them off and like straighten them out because the water made them curl, but I just kind of gave them just a light little wash of watercolor. And I believe once I have all the journaling down, all watercolored, I stamp the date with my date stamp, and that is my finished layout. So I will insert some pictures here of the layout. Be sure to check out the post on the Hip Kit Club blog. I will leave all the Hip Kit links down below in the description box. Give this a thumbs up if you like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!